So, good morning, my friends. It is about 10 o'clock on a good old fashioned Tuesday. Now, I try to test out here to see, and sure enough, with my glasses off, my eyes are looking over here, and yet the light's up here. So, I'd have to be doing this, and it wouldn't look right. So, this keeps that looking a little bit more normal, like I'm looking at the camera. Plus, this is an old trademark that I used to use a long time ago. But we're going to get into it, and I have probably a couple of days a week now where I'm going to be able to do more videos than I used to do. And there's a certain amount of topics that I'm going to stay off of. I might mention them. And again, I might refer you to other channels because they talk about that stuff and they're more out there in the limelight and are known. At first, I was thinking that people were going to Patreon because they were making more money that way. Well, that's not what it is. What's happening is that people are transferring there because if you give up any medical information here or copy a link, which I found out way back in 2020. Sorry about that. This is a sinus problem that I have, and I do it. But anyway, so I got dinged like twice just for writing the CO you know what word, just for putting it there. So that's one of the reasons why they go to Patreon. So I have a few things to get into today, and one of the things is that mysterious fog that's been going all over the United States. Now, I just heard BP Earthwatch say that they were releasing this stuff over here on the West Coast. Well, all this that's going on with me is what I've been having for the past few years. It's all COPD related, so none of this is any of that, but then again, we'll get into it. So I refer a lot of you guys to Nate, Canadian Prepper, because a lot of the things that he throws out there seem to be more true than all the rest. However, we're having differing insights into this drone situation. First, they were seen on the East Coast, mostly New Jersey, some in New York, but that was about it. But then again, there were these big old ones, the big ones, those are military, and they all are. If they have the FAA lights on them, they're not Yoda coming to do something for us, okay? Then it was about 3 weeks later, this mysterious fog came along, and people were getting sick. Now, this has hit the main news, but it's not huge. Now, the thing that's crazy to me is that the powers that be aren't telling us anything, one way or another. And if it did happen to be China, why are we allowing them to do crap in our country that's making people sick? Okay? So, when I listened to what BP Earthwatch talked about, that made a lot of sense also. Which is going to bring me back to Nate and what he had said last night and this and all this other stuff. Now, could the powers that be of a country know that there's this impending, I'm not going to say it, that pretty soon a lot of people are going to have? See, I'm going to just throw this as conjecture. I'm not saying it's 100%. BP said that these are, that could make you get at you. Maybe. See, I don't want to go 100% on anything because this is just YouTube. Don't want to get flagged. Don't want to get in trouble, so I'm just kind of putting it out there, okay? It's kind of funny how a lot of this stuff is happening right before you know who is sworn in on the Bible and made this guy. Now I'm seeing where he wants to throw military action in Greenland. It's not our country, dude. But one of the things that a lot of people don't know, and I had kind of forgot about it because it was so long ago, but supposedly there's this big major underground built up city under the country of Greenland. And in there's a whole bunch of military there's troops and everything else there, secretly based and housed. Then he sends you know who there, the Sun, and it, come to find out they got a lot of oil there, so there's a lot of that. But this is where I'm going to go on this little tangent. It's going to lead back to the Atchu. So there's this guy out there, and he gives you a lot of info. Sometimes there's wars. That guy. And I don't like to brag, but he does. And I really do believe this guy is some other person. I really do. He's starting to lose weight. And the more weight he loses, the more he begins to look like that guy. Anyway, in 2020, he had come out and said, because I believe that this guy does tell you semi-truths. And why does he get away with what he gets away with? Because the powers that be allow it. And even though you saw him go to court, and even though you saw him get slapped with all these millions of dollars of fines, his whatever you want content is still out there. In fact, it's still on the radio. You can very easily download it through an app. It's still there. Oh, Apple got rid of it. Not really, because through other radio apps, it's still there. But what he said was that the you-know-what that happened in 2020 would happen again. So now you put all this together, drones, mist, Atchu. Pretty soon, you got to do that again. Only this time, no matter what political party you support or don't, not just a few, but all will be in an uproar and swearing that they're not going to do this again. I said that 2 years ago. Okay? And a lot of my stuff that I put out here is earthquake-wise, survival-wise, of which I've got something here that I haven't used yet that I want to show you. And I'm pretty sure for that one person, this would work out a bit. But anyway, so you got one story of these drones over here. You got another story of the drones over here. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. And and for all of you that follow me, that's very rare to cough once. Anyway, then you got BP saying that this is, and isn't it funny that all the people that are around this are saying they're getting sick? Now, it could be volcanism from volcanoes because there are two that are beginning to do a little bit of movement. One is predicted to go off. The other one they threw a lot of stories about and then countered it. Oh no, because of course they don't want to freak anybody out. One is the axial seamount that comes off of the coast of Oregon. Biggest out there is. And they have already predicted that this thing's going to do something that within this year, somewhere, no one knows exactly. Then, of course, we got the big boy, and I used to show you diagrams of it. In fact, I could probably, I don't have my phone. I can't pull it up. My phone isn't here, so I can't bring up the little guitar pick that shows the Yellowstone fallout, but that would affect a lot of things. Yesterday, there were two 7.0 earthquakes, and I'm getting to the point where I don't come on here or FB or anywhere and mention earthquakes unless they're 7.0 or higher. The one was right near Everest, and the other one was in China, close to Everest, but not exactly. Those are pretty big quakes. Those are the things I look for. Earthquakes, weather change, which is happening. I don't know exactly where in the Middle East it is, but I think even Pastor Paul said they get an inch of rain a year, maybe 4. And the other day, they got a flood. So that's kind of an interesting little thing. I also want to go into this real fast. Algorithms. I've told you guys this before. I don't pop out a lot of videos. Even if you're subscribed to me, you're not really going to see my stuff unless you come here. Because it's happened to me. There's other channels that I usually watch all the time, and all of a sudden they're gone. I'm still subscribed, they're just not showing up. And the reason why is an algorithm. Oh, I watch this person too much, so I'm going to see all their stuff. That's happening on everything. FB, Insta, TT, here. So if you guys still want to see make sure you can either unsubscribe and resubscribe and click all, or just do subscribe, click all, and then it'll start bringing it back again. Because that's what they do, and I'm getting tired of these algorithms. So anyway, Nate said that if you knew that a plandemic, whatever it is, was there, you might not tell the masses too much, a little bit. Oh, this guy here died, or oh, this over here. But you wouldn't come out and give too much out there, because what are you doing? You're waiting for you know who to take over, and then throw it out there maybe a couple days before it happens, before he goes in. What happened last time? The whole country was what? Locked down. You couldn't really fly anywhere. They had restrictions all over the place. And it is funny with this flu, because all of a sudden, it's hard to get eggs. And if you do get them, they're like $7 a dozen, and they could even be more pretty soon. Now, we have a store that if you hit it up a little early on a certain day, you can usually find them, but they got like limits. So if you want 4 dozen eggs, you better go with somebody, and they'll get 2 and you get 2 if there's that many. Eggs are connected to birds. Chickens are birds. See what I'm saying? So that's a sign to me right there that, hey, wait a minute. Something's getting ready to go down, but they don't want to tell us right away because they know that everybody's going to get mad and flip out and lose their mind. So on the one hand, while I try to believe that these drones are out there looking for something, although they're all over the world now, but then all of a sudden, 2-3 weeks after all this, which has kind of died out a little bit, this mysterious mist is now coming around the United States all over. People go, oh God, I gotta go back in. Now, you know what my channel is really about. My channel is about being prepared, having things you might need, or the star, comet, all of that. So I have 4 of these, all different levels. One of my little ones, I don't think it's an actual Jackery, but it looks like one. It's small. But I do have a Jackery 600 plus, and I just got this. And this is the EcoFlow Riverbank 2. This right here. Okay? Don't want to show it too long, and I'm not advertising it. Okay? Haven't put it to a test. Now, this little guy has what we call a cigarette lighter, but kids who don't know what those are, 12-volt plug in it. It's got DC, it's got AC, it has one plug for a triple prong plug, one for a double, one regular USB, and a C. Yeah, okay. So 2 USBs and 1 C, okay? And then an AC/DC switch and all that. This little guy right here would probably power like a lamp or charge your phone or run your PC or anything. And it'll say right on there how many amp hours it's using, and then you can know how long to use it. So let's say you had somehow lost your job. I mean, not lost your job, but couldn't afford to live where you lived, but you had a job. Well, this little guy right here, especially if you have a pickup truck or a van or something like that, and you were able to charge this at work or the sun, which takes a while, but still, this little guy here would keep you and some of your things going. Now, this little guy will not actually power up some kind of a thing to cook your food. The Jackery I have will. It's higher than the 500, but littler than the bigger one. But it will run a microwave for maybe an hour, maybe. It might run something else for a couple hours, coffee machine or something like that. So in that vein, that guy can actually help you prepare food and stuff like that if you don't want to go cook off a fire. So I have 4. I have the 600 plus. I got the EcoFlow Riverbank. I got 2 little guys, and those guys can do phones and stuff like that. So home-wise, I'm pretty prepared to keep my devices charged and maybe run some light. And you can even power your Wi-Fi off of this if there is Wi-Fi. Just plug it in there, and then you got your Wi-Fi. Okay? So those are good to have. I'd rather have $800 in units that I never use than need them and not have them. So that's another part of my preparing process. Again, excuse if I sniffle too much or cough or this or that, because it's all what they call COPD related, okay? And I don't cough anywhere near how I was 3 or 4 months ago. Some of that could have been dental, but this wasn't done due to a bad teeth. I got punched in the mouth and I lost part of my tooth. But ever since I went to the dentist, I haven't been coughing as much, so that might have been part of it too. But anyway, there's a lot of crap that's going on right now in front of a lot of people. And I will tell you this, I've kind of been laying low on social media a lot too, because here's another thing that I found out. This was not too bad 10 years ago, but 10 years later, every internet tough guy you want to know is out there. And sure, a few percentage of these guys might be as bad as they say they are. But on the long run, most of them are not. They have real big guts to say anything that they want to you miles away on a different tablet or keyboard or whatever you want to say, which I call almost threats. But those guys aren't ever nailed by any of these social media places. That stuff's allowed. So I'm not saying I'm not on these, but I don't interact on them as much as I used to. Now, I'm going to give you a example of an algorithm. So there's this redheaded kid, and he looks at the camera and goes, "Sadu, Sadu." Then a "What's up, dude?" All you got to do is look at it one time. It comes behind itself. So then there's another one, and this guy's, "What the fuck, Kyle? What the F, Kyle?" Looks just like him. Now, it may not be the same person, but now I'm getting those two plus about 3 other reels that I don't want to see over and over. But I don't want to block somebody if they're just having fun and it doesn't really involve me. But then again, I don't want to watch it over and over and over. These are algorithms. So let's slip a little bit into AI, okay? I have 9 minutes left, or 10. So I found out by watching certain channels, that's why even if I don't like certain channels, it doesn't mean that I don't still watch them, because sometimes they have good stuff. Well, it seems as if AI, I forgot what country they said it was, but it's in charge of everything that this government is doing. And it involves a war, and it's knowing where to place soldiers, where to put drones, where to do this, when to back, when to do whatever. Case in point, this app that I don't have called ChatGPT, they were getting ready to make a different version of it. But it, being smart enough, tried to replicate itself so they couldn't get rid of it. And when they started to get a lot into this, it actually sounded a lot like what they say the Antichrist is. Now, does it mean that AI in itself is the Antichrist? Well, maybe it isn't but it's one. Does a computer believe in God? No. Who does the computer think is number one? Itself. Who can actually be smarter than it? Not you. Not Einstein. Not Oppenheimer. And going to that, AI knows all the ingredients to cold fusion. Shall we play a game? Remember that movie if you're old enough? Of course, at the end of that movie, the AI realized that there was no winner. Motion detected at the front. And it basically ended the game and no one won. But it has that capability. Oh, you're going to do this? Ooh. See? And it doesn't have a heart like a person. It just has a brain that says, hey, these guys are coming after me. I got to go into some kind of defense mode. AI is getting real dumb. Even old Elon, who some people don't like, said that AI was a danger because if you let it take over, it could very well do that. So for all these people that are thinking, well, you know, this guy here, he's got the whole thing, he knows. Well, dude ain't no savior. He ain't gonna fix much. He's not gonna do as much as he thinks he's gonna do. Might create more wars. But that said, that doesn't mean I really supported the other side either. It's kind of like what Dabu said. It's a big game and we ain't in it. we're not part of that club, okay? So today makes less than 2 weeks. All this stuff's all starting to build before that happens. Again, I mentioned in my last video, and there's like no one watched it, that there was this guy, Larry Nichols. Now, Larry Nichols was an ex-Army, I think he was a Ranger, and then he became like a bodyguard to Bill Clinton, and then he knew a lot of things about a lot of things. So for around a month or two, he appeared on old AJ. And he wasn't trying to brag, but came out and mentioned a lot of things, and some of those things are beginning to happen. Now, he succumbed to lung cancer, but there was a day, now we weren't there, we didn't know, because all we did was hear it. But he was doing an interview, and all of a sudden, these big old black vehicles showed up at his house. And he was around for a little while longer, but it was because whatever. So I'm going to give you my little internet story that happened to me in this last 4 to 5 minutes to show you that, yes, that kind of stuff can happen. This was one of the reasons why I got rid of my channel and went low for 10 years. So the internet wasn't really new, but it was switching away from modems to routers. Whereas we didn't have the thing on top of your computer going, and then logging you on. Just like a Bluetooth unit that hooked you up to this. So it was relatively new. And the funniest thing was, anytime we would say anything about certain things, this would turn off for about a half an hour. So we used to call it our half hour of shame because it would just do that. So one day, I went to work and I came home. And I'll leave the cable name out. But one of their service vans was sitting in front of our house. Went to our backyard and they had our internet box locked up, like the actual server. And he's tinkering around with it and he had something in his hand. And I go, what are you doing? Putting a filter on my internet? Oh, no. Well, wasn't too much soon after that. And I will say these were forestry vehicles, but they're still government vehicles. Same time of day, 2 different times, I got run off the road by these vehicles on a highway. And then odd things used to begin to happen. So finally, I decided that that was enough for me. And I, with the help of a different person here on YouTube, I disappeared. And I didn't know that he was going to do it. But by the time he did it, I realized what it was done about. So now I stay low-key, still. I never post anything of what it is. I don't tell you what it is. You just got to come here and listen. And now what I've been doing lately is corroborating somebody's story, making sure it seems a little more plausible than the next, and then I talk about it. So this is the output about the fog, and that's Dabu, that's Pastor Paul, that's the rest of them. They're all beginning to say the same thing, so it's beginning to meld into one. Nate keeps thinking that it's looking for nuclear material, but I don't know if that's true. Because they're all over the place. And as he said, what better way to launch a 2020 than to wait until it's almost time for it to transfer of power? So we'll see. Maybe nothing happens. But I would be ready for anything. Peace. I'll be seeing you. Have a great day.